Now, I've always worried that my address might be shorter than the introduction. I welcome our Taltongase leading the devotion this morning. Also welcome Chochi. Chochi caused a bit of a stir at Queen Victoria School in 1963. He came in from Lelin, and in his first year became a prefect in my house. And I was a junior boy at the time. But he grew up to be an exemplary prefect. He brought in a new dimension of leadership that was probably instilled in him while he was at Lelin, not the curious brand of leadership. So we embraced that, and we benefited. Those of us who became prefects after Chochi and Dr. Serubatu and Peter Naduba, Peter Kewa, came in from Lelin, our style of leadership changed at school. And I thank Chochi, and he's still around. Also, thank the chairman of the Public Service Commission and commissioners. Welcome. I was surprised that I was welcome when the introduction said he is the Minister of the Public Service. Why am I welcomed into the public service when I'm Minister responsible for the public service? But thank you very much for the very warm words of welcome, and also for the very simple but meaningful and deep traditional custom of the welcome of the Ngolongolobi and the Sepsep. When I spoke to the group of senior civil servants from the ministries that I look after, I told them that I was going to be a civil servant. I wanted to be a civil servant. So I came and did the civil service induction training at the old government training center, which is where this building stands. It was a wooden building then, and the induction training was part of the preparation for localization by the colonial government. In the same period that they were going through the constitutional conferences in London and in Fiji, preparing Fiji for independence. We had to prepare our own local people to take over from the British colonial administration and the British civil service volunteers who were out in the colonies at that time. Unfortunately for me, at the end of the, maybe fortunately for me and the civil service, at the end of the civil service of the induction training run by Ken Vera, I'm sure Chochi knows the late Ken Vera, I got a call from the Army that I was required to go up there. And the rest, Luke had mentioned in the introduction. I'm glad to be here at this induction session, and I welcome most sincerely and especially the newly appointed civil servants, the newly appointed permanent secretaries. I apologize for delaying this. I should have been here a few weeks ago, but thank you for the Walolo that was sent home. hope I will also get some today. I couldn't avoid that earlier on. I was away in Tabeuni on that day, paying my respects to a departed chief who was also a minister during his time and a senator during my time as Prime Minister. But I always also believe that better late than never, although we find it very, very difficult to accept those from our subordinates. I suppose we should try not to make that an excuse that we use as senior civil servants. Boss, you're late. That's right. That's okay. I'm here. No, let's not go down that path. It should not be the hallmark of civil servants, particularly senior civil servants. We are the leaders. You are the leaders of people who have been selected or have earned the promotion to be servants of the people of Fiji. We must be punctual, and we must be capable, and we must show our subordinates the example of what is expected of them and ourselves. I wrote a little note this morning at the breakfast table, and I lifted it from Exodus 18:21. Old man Jethro was looking at his son-in-law, Moses, leading the people from morning to evening, having court cases or orderly rooms, and those who serve in the military would understand, hearing grievances, complaints, and reports, and was getting very, very tired. So Jethro told his son-in-law, look at the men and women that are before you. Pick from them able men, capable men and women, those that fear God, men of truth, and men and women that cannot be bribed. Very simple. Very simple instruction to Moses on how to pick leaders. Capable men who are God-fearing, honest, and cannot be bribed. Some of the so-called Pacific leaders have been calling me, expressing concern about how some of us, as leaders in the Pacific, are reacting to influences from outside the Pacific. I told them, let us just be strong national leaders. Let us be concerned about what is in the best interest of the people we lead. It'll be very easy for us to be led astray by corruption or corrupt practices. When we say corruption, first thing that comes to our mind is the use of wealth or material wealth to divert our attention from away from objectivity in the national interest. How do you separate that from the consideration of security? What is security? Some of us may want to go right or left depending on our perception of what gives us more security. Those are the serious and difficult things that we as leaders must consider. But the bottom line is, what is best for our country? And for me, the instruction by Jethro to Moses is a very useful one. On Monday last week, I hurt my head walking into the government buildings. I was on the phone, I was reading the emails and all. And couldn't break the fall when I tripped at the steps. I've been doing a lot of things, working from morning to evening. And I'm hearing Moses, I'm hearing Jethro. Big men and women who are capable to help you with the running of the nation of Fiji. And we've got the permission to do that. They've gone out looking for men and women who are capable of carrying with us the burden of the leadership of this great nation. And you are those men and women. We have great challenges. Many of them are not our fault, but we put our hands up. We volunteered to be elected, and you volunteered to be selected. You knew the problems you would face if selected or elected. So don't blame anybody else. You knew that the task was going to be difficult, yet you volunteered. We're in office now. Coalition government, the political arm of leadership, and you, the senior executives of the government. And as I said, we have volunteered. We've put our hands up. To fix the problems and restore this great nation. We have a task of rebuilding and restoring. Our aim is to create a new Fiji, a united nation, free of oppression, happy and prosperous. We knew when we took office that we could not do this alone. I'm talking about the political arm of leadership. We would require a combined effort drawing on all parts of our society. And you, the permanent secretaries and the senior civil servants, are central in the achievement of that mission. You're positioned right on the front line. We called it in the Army the FIBA, the forward edge of the battle area. You are it. You take the first bullet, keep those behind you safe. carry the load and ease the burden on the people. It is up to you to make the engine of government with its 35,000 employees to function at maximum capacity. And you can do it. From that will come much of the effort and the resources needed to revive and improve infrastructure and construct more of it. I'm talking of roads, bridges, electricity, water supplies, health and education facilities, and more. It is through the government administrative network that the people will receive the other essential services to which they are entitled. I noticed the Permanent Secretary for Education here with us. Thank you for bearing with us. At Cabinet on Tuesday, I thanked the Minister for Education, told him thank you very much for accepting your Permanent Secretary. I give you the mission. She is your Chief Executive Officer. Get her to do the work, or you both have failed. It is through the government administrative network that people will receive the other essential services to which they are entitled. We are duty-bound to provide them their entitlement. It is the government through Cabinet, we the ministers, and you the civil servants, that will strengthen the foundation for the expansion of business and commerce to provide employment and revenue. I am confident there is broad awareness in the nation that we are fully engaged in pursuing our mission for the development and improvement of our nation. We know that for our coalition government, constant contact and consultation will be with the people is imperative. We must continue. We must continue to be in contact with one another and understanding one another. We have one mission. We don't have separate ministry missions. We have one mission, and that is to project Fiji to better heights. You know that for our coalition government, constant contact and consultation with the people will always be, I've said that before and I'll say it again, it's always imperative for us to continue with that. Maintain contact, be with the people, understand what they're saying. And that has been our agenda from day one. It is a critical step for the reintroduction of true, fair, and free democracy for Fiji. We want you to know that the people are thinking about development. They're thinking social and economic issues and other priorities. We cannot be blind to what they say about us in Facebook. Most of the champions in boxing are punch drunk. They've been punched so many times, yet they keep going back until they get that belt or that crown. So don't avoid the Facebook. Read them. Don't avoid the punches. Try to, but if it hits you, be strong enough to take it. Don't shy away from them. Learn from them. I don't know, I've not received any complaints from the ministers. When I look at Facebook, I send them an email. When I look at the intelligence report, I send them email. All those things are there to trigger some action. We have a steady and organized flow of information and contact and comments from those that we serve. As I said, sometimes you need to be punch drunk. Take the blows, roll with them, throw your own when you can. We need to get Fiji to be the winner. The professional standards you and those you lead must follow are presented clearly in two documents that you are aware of. One lays out the public service values, and the other describes the code of conduct, the code, the rules of how we behave. I'm going to stress the obvious. Please use these documents as your constant guide. Make sure that those you work with do the same. You know this, but I just want to remind all of us. The principles, rights, and freedoms set out in the Constitution, no patronage of favoritism, as Jethro had told his son-in-law. Appointments must be made on the basis of merit. A working environment free of discrimination, apolitical, neutral, impartial, and professional. Just if one of my appointees or our appointees wears a regimental tie, we all get blamed. I couldn't point at the chairman of the public service and say, I didn't do it, he did it. We did it. We all get the blame. Equal opportunities in training and advancement for members of all ethnic groups and genders. What Jethro told Moses. Providing a fair and rewarding workplace, achievement of results, and managing performance. Policies and services to be implemented effectively, efficiently, and courteously. Giving frank, honest, timely advice, maintaining highest ethical standards. Full accountability to the government, the parliament, and the people. We can't say they did it, no. You can't say he did it, no. All we can say to them is, yes, we did it. Yes, we're guilty, we will improve. Of special interest to your group is developing and maintaining quality leadership, particularly through the senior executive services. That, ladies and gentlemen, is related to the ultimate aim of creating a world-class civil service. I repeat, world-class. Some time ago, somebody that was a prime minister with me said, you know, the rest of the Pacific benefits from your coup, or your coups in Fiji. When you have coups, and there is general disagreement in Fiji, we get top civil servants coming away from Fiji. We don't pay for their education. They know what to do. We have top-grade civil servants in Fiji, world-grade civil servants in Fiji. People will just receive you with open arms. If something happens here and you're not happy, I want us all to be happy. We have a mission, and we're going to achieve that mission, working together. Your assignment is to get us there by motivating the public servants under your leadership, those that you work with, to strive for the excellence that is required of us, that's demanded of us. The Code of Conduct also, in summary, says care, diligence, and respect. Confidentiality, when appropriate, very difficult now with Facebook and all these things around. But please, remember that. Avoid conflict of interest and misleading information and improper use of official information. Proper use of government assets, compliance with applicable acts and legislations. Use all your management and leadership skills to ensure the values and code of conduct are cemented into the ethos of the service. I urge you to organize seminars, discussion groups, and workshops right through the ranks to promote the values and the code. Then you must report back periodically to the Public Service Commission on the results. I also would expect the Commission and your ministers to report back on how we're doing. As your minister or minister responsible for the civil service, I see great scope for innovation and opportunities for coordinating and collegiality in the newly established Permanent Secretaries Forum. I also welcome the formation among you of working groups and subcommittees. I said this in the earlier session. Only one of the current cabinet had ever served in cabinet before. So we need your assistance. Most of you have come through the ranks, either in the civil service and the private sector. So let's work together. Through this new framework of cooperation, you regularly consider topics affecting not only your own departments, but also others and the entire government and the country. These meetings will lead to the growth of the executive team spirit, a united sense of purpose, and the kind of brainstorming that sparks great ideas for jointly tackling some of the big issues we have in the nation. I'd like to present to the committee a special challenge. It is urgent, and I'm going to ask that you come back with preliminary recommendations within the next few weeks. You will have read that huge spread in the Fiji Times on Tuesday about alarming statistics on HIV/AIDS. It followed publicity the day before on the use of the drugs known as ice. And we have some people very good sense of humor. Right through the city. We don't have a mayor yet. I don't know whether he will allow every third shop's got ice sold here. We don't know which ice. It's a drug ice or frozen water. It's a joke. But it's not a joke. We have a crisis that requires a multifaceted approach. It's not just a problem for the Ministry of Health. There are many social, cultural, and community factors mixed in. I suggest, therefore, that your forum sets up a HIV/AIDS task force And on Tuesday, I asked the Minister for Health, why don't we go back to, remember those days? I don't know whether any of you remember those days. I remember those days when we had the mobile dental teams coming out in caravans, mobile x-ray teams. Why can't we have mobile teams again? They still make the same kind of vehicles. We can just equip them, fit for purpose vehicles. We order them from our makers overseas. Some may even donate them. And let's get back to the people. People talk glibly about these problems: drugs, HIV, and teenage pregnancies. And we see all the fingers coming up. The schools blaming the parents blaming the church blaming the government. Remember, when you point, 3 of the fingers are curled and pointing back at yourself. So we are responsible. We have brought it about. We must solve it. If you come together and put your thinking caps on, draft some terms of reference, move on from there. We're here to listen to your advice. You are the chief executive officers. We carry the mission. We will find the funds. We will get the mission done. Tell us what's happening on the ground. You're getting to grips with a number of critical issues in our subcommittees and working groups. These include removing red tape. What's that? That's us. Who's the red tape? Red tape. We, the civil servants, or you, the civil servants. Removing the red tapes that will lead to faster processes and decisions. Getting rid of unnecessary rules and regulations that hinder the investors that we need to come in for more growth in our economy. Your colleagues who work with me will know that when they put something up, they can come 1 hour later, I just put approved. Because I trust you. When something comes to my table, I know you have researched it, or my PSs have done that. They've gone through it, they've done the right work required. All I have to do is say yes or no. We rely so much on you. The government relies on you. The people relies on you. Let us be aware of the concerns about climate change. I asked a very simple question to a group that came up yesterday, WWF. Has any scientist been looking at this phenomenon, ophidian, when the world is furthest or the globe is furthest from the sun? We're saying it's colder than ever before. Will that increase the mass of ice in the north and south pole and in the mountains? Will it affect global warming? I said, oh, nobody has done that. Well, go and do it. Let's look at our own actions and what we can do in the climate change area. Let us not rely on the international community to come and clear our rubbish from the countryside. What are we going to do with the tons of steel out there in the harbor? removing costly waste. I'm impressed by the ambitious target of saving up to $100 million in 12 months. Somebody came to me last week and said, we can save you hundreds of millions of dollars on road repairs by moving tons of your cargo onto barges. Take them off the road. You remove the wear and tear on the roads. You put them on barges. We can save by better organizing and purchasing, sharing equipment and amenities, merging certain corporate and administrative units, and many other measures. These are things you already know about. Perhaps you're just unsure that others are also aware of those and know them. When you start talking, that, so you are also aware. So you know the problem. So talk among yourselves. And finally, I urge you to generally maintain very close collaboration with the public sector partners, humanitarian and charitable groups, private enterprise organizations, and the executives. We must all pull together for the cause of creating a better Fiji. You're the Minister of Finance. We're going to together recreate, rebuild Fiji. That's not just political parties and members of parliament. We and you and your subordinates, we and the people. I'd like to also finish with a quote from John Wesley. Not that my Taltongas is here, but I always like what John Wesley told his trainees when they graduated. Go do all the good you can, for all the people you can, in all the places you can, in all the ways you can, for as long as you ever can. Vinaka.